I mean, kind of to your point, Derek, if we want to go the Jets route, I think but the difference between the Jets teams that we saw in week 9 and week 10 were astronomical.
Yeah,
I
polar
mean,
opposites.
week 9 showed a team that was, definitely poised to make a run. Yes, you're 3-5 going in after the win on in week 9. You're going to 3-5, which is big because the division and the conference was still available. And then the complete opposite in week 10, where they got absolutely blown out of the water against the Cardinals team, who is, by the way, we could get to talking about them, but they're a really good team and
Oh
their
yeah,
offense looks great. But getting only held to 6 points against the Cardinals team, where
that's bad.
all of these wins are must wins at this point for the Jets, and that's not saying anymore that they're must wins now because their season's pretty much over.
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't matter. But just a very disappointing performance. I think Jets fans continue to stay really. They're just the Jets. They suck
yeah.
week year in and year out, and clearly Aaron Rodgers didn't change that. Clearly Davante Adams didn't change that. Clearly a coaching change didn't change that. So the Jets are going to have a lot of questions to be had during the offseason. They're one of the franchises in the NFL that's in disarray just because of the contracts, the picks that they've traded, and all that. So very disappointing week 10 for them, especially after coming off a huge win against a good Texans team.
Yeah. I honestly, I thought that game was going to be very close because they're both good. I would say you could put the team side to side. They're both very good offenses. Very good. They have star powers on each side. They have Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, James Conner, etc. And then they have Rodgers, Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. Great players, but I don't know what it is. It's just Aaron Rodgers does not fit with the Jets at all.
Well, I mean, a big portion of it, we've talked about this so many times on the podcast, is coaching.
Yeah.
Uh, the Jets fired their coach. What was it, week 5 or week 6, right before
Week 6.
week 6, I believe. Yeah, so they clearly have not rebounded from that. They were hoping that maybe a coaching change would spark something. That has not been the case. Aaron Rodgers still looks completely lost within that offense. Him and his receivers are not on the same page. Him and Garrett Wilson really haven't been on the same page all year,
Yeah.
and it really hasn't improved, to be honest, which is one of the more disappointing things, especially after bringing in Davante, where you would think space would be opened up for a guy, especially like Garrett Wilson, who is so dynamic.
Yeah.
But they're clearly not on the same page. They're not getting the running game going when you have a guy like Brees Hall. Their defense in week 9 looked formidable, and then in week 10 just completely shit the bed. There was no tackling whatsoever. There was open players all over the field for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray rushed for 2 touchdowns. McBride was just absolutely breaking every tackle that a Jets defender would throw at him. It was a really just pathetic performance.
He broke a tackle and then spun off a guy and hurdled.
Yeah, it was pathetic performance, and that's on top of Hassan Reddick coming in to play.
That makes no sense.
And he was a complete ghost, though.
Yeah, that's the thing that I understand. Don't get me wrong. The Cardinals, they have a very good young tackle, Paris Johnson, but I don't see Paris Johnson, a young fucking tackle, being able to stop Hassan Reddick. It's crazy to see because everyone was going to the season Jets are going to do so good. They're going to turn into they're going to be a playoff team, and now look at them. They're fighting for a playoff spot.
No, they're done.
Well,
Look, I get the sentiment where you're not mathematically out of the playoffs, but when you're 3-7, when you are tied, which is pathetic, by the way, what I'm about to say, tied for last in the division with the Patriots,
oof.
where they had absolutely zero expectations and the Jets had all of the expectations.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty pathetic, and you might as well just pack in the season at that point because clearly nothing's working. Clearly you have to go out there and hire a new coach. Clearly you have to do something about the offensive scheme, or maybe, these players are just not getting along. We don't know, but something has to change, and I don't think at this point, it's not happening this season.
Yeah, nothing, as you're 100% right, nothing is happening this season. Everything that has to like happen for the Jets has to be in the future. Because this ain't fixing now. The coaching is gonna be, you're fucked pretty much. Because Aaron Rodgers, as what you said in previous episodes, Aaron Rodgers is only getting older. He's getting older, and then you're gonna have to look for quarterbacks. Then you have to draft, and then you have to suck to get a good draft pick. They're fucked. In my opinion, I see them being fucked.
That's the biggest issue with the Jets. And look, at the time, you can definitely make a case that they made the right choice because they had pieces. They put all of their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of them. And sure, at the time, it made sense because you had a star running back and a star receiver up and coming from the draft in Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. So you wanted to pair them with a quarterback. And not to mention, Zach Wilson was horrific.
God awful.
So you needed a change. I get it. But it didn't work. Or at least it hasn't worked yet. So you're going to have to make some sort of decision after this year in the offseason to see where you go from here.
Yeah. Well, I kind of am done talking about the Jets because it's actually depressing.